Shalom, Shalom Akim, Call Halayim La, YAHAWAH, SIMEON, BAHASHAM. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone to teach them well. Peace and salutations be to the elect. Remember that Tazwan coming at you from the prophets in Babylon camp here in Tampa, Florida. This lesson is going to be going into a quick testimony, a vision that I had last night on the bed. This vision was, I'll keep it short and simple. Basically, I was with Trump, Donald Trump, the president. And I was in like his inner circle. I don't know why he kept me there, in his inner circle. I'm not sure what reason he had me there, but I was there like with the man that was closest to him, like men that he trusted or whatever. And as we were together, wherever we would go or whatever, I'd be there. Just walking amongst the ranks, and occasionally I would prophesy to him and tell him about prophecy. Whenever the spirit hit me whenever the spirit hit me to prophesy to him, it would just come out my mouth, and I wouldn't be able to stop it. It would just come out. And I was going in on his ass. It was really the spirit going in on his ass, but it would always, every time I would prophesy to him, it would always set a sense of unease in the room. Okay? Now, these men knew all about Trump, and they were all, they were like, I would say they were like close friends almost. Okay, you know, you have a group of friends, a group of close friends, and everybody know everything about you. You trust everybody trusts each other. That's kind of how his inner circle was, and I was amongst it. Basically, I would prophesy things about the future of America, about his future, about the future of the Edomites, and every time I did, he would get very uneased. So Trump always had this, when I was with him, he always had this charisma about himself, that he knew everything, and that everything was under control, and that he's got everything under control, and he's not worried about anything. But whenever I would bring out the scriptures prophesying his downfall, he would get shocked and be stuck and at a loss for words, with his mouth open and his eyes wide open. So I would just throw little things here and there at him, just to knock him off his pivot and remind him his place, remind him his lot. And the one that I remember the most, I don't remember all of the dream, but I will tell the part that I do remember. Which was when we were sitting in this room at this table, at this like circle table or whatever. I guess it was a table where they conference at. But they were just in there joking around and talking about lunch and things like that of that nature. They basically weren't really worried about the safety of the country or anything. But I was in there, and I told him, I asked him a question. I said, I would just be asking these random, and it was whenever the spirit hit, because when the spirit hit, I would ask a random question, and I'll back it up with scriptures, and he would be puzzled, like, what? I said, do you really think you can? I said, Mr. Trump, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah, go ahead. I said, do you really think that you can defeat China? He was like, of course. We've got the strongest military. Oh, yeah, I remember asking him. Oh, I remember. All praise calling over SHAMAIWAN. It just came to me. I remember. I said, he said, yeah, we can definitely defeat China. I said, Trump, do you have missiles that's stronger than the Satan II missile, which is that Russian missile, the missile that Russia created? And he said 4 of those can wipe out the whole United States with radioactive waves, radioactive tsunamis from the East Coast and the West Coast. I said, so Mr. Trump, do you have any missiles or any power or form of missile that's stronger than the Satan II missile? And he looked at me dead in my face. He said, yes, we do. And I said, oh. I I said, because you know that, I said, you understand that Russia and China together, it's going to be a hard battle, right? And then he stopped and he looked at me. And then I changed the he stopped, he looked at me, and everybody got quiet in the room. And I changed the subject up. I changed up the subject. And I was like, but yeah, we're the best. You say you got missiles stronger than that? I don't think we should be worried about anything then, right? And then everybody, like, the sense of ease came back into the room. Everybody just started relaxing again. And then I came back at him again. I said, but man, thermonuclear missiles, that's terrifying, isn't it? That's a lot of destruction. He was like, yeah, it is. And where are you going to use it on them? Put it into the wars. And I said, yeah, you will use it. I said, but they're going to use theirs too. I said, everybody will use their nuclear missiles. I said, that's how the world's going to end. And then I brought out that 2 Peter 3:10 about the elements melting with fervent heat, roughly paraphrasing. And I said, the Bible says this about everything melting with fervent heat, the world ending in fire. I said, what? I said, and he was like, he got quiet. He was looking, and everybody got quiet. Everybody looking. I said, that fire will be thermonuclear fire from nuclear missiles. I said, why do you think they were created? You thought you were just going to create them and sit on them? I said, these will be used, and it will eradicate America. I said, everybody going to get hit, but America's going to get hit the worst. America's going to be destroyed off the face of the earth. And he just stopped, and he looked at me, and his mouth dropped, and his eyes was open. Everybody was quiet. Everybody trying to figure out what the fuck going on. Like, it was so quiet in the room. You could hear heartbeats, man. And then I had this really serious, scary look on my face, like I was putting a fear in his ass. And then I changed the subject up. Like, I was like, but yeah, what do y'all want to eat for lunch? And then that sense of ease came back. It was so funny, man. And it was beautiful because that's what the Lord did. He would send his prophets. He would send his prophets to prophesy against many great kingdoms. Okay. He would send his prophets to these kings to prophesy against them and let them know, like, yo, this is what's coming. This is what's coming to your kingdom. Like it was Daniel. Daniel was sent to who was it? Nebuchadnezzar? Let me see. I believe Daniel was sent to Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, so like Daniel was sent to Nebuchadnezzar, and or Moses was sent to Pharaoh. Okay. And then these kings would keep these prophets in high regard because they were direct messages from the Lord. So they had to regard these prophets, highly regard these prophets. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that's what the dream was showing. Like, the Lord put us in the prophet of Trump and told him his end. He was terrified, just like it happened in the scriptures. You know. So this guy's got this motto of acting like he knows it all and everything's fine and he's got everything under control. But when those prophecies came out to him, he got stuck. He froze up. He didn't know what to do. It was like he couldn't think any further than that. You know, the Lord had him in his lot, and there's nothing he can do about that. You know, the Lord is using him to do certain things in this world. Okay, so let's grab it. The book of Daniel, chapter 5 and verse. Daniel chapter 5 and verse 24. Oh, sorry, verse 25. It says, "And this is the writing that was written, mean, tekel, a parson." This is the interpretation of the thing. Mean, YAHAWASHI hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. It says, then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel. Belshazzar, which was if you go back to verse 21. Daniel 5 and 21. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High Power ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomsoever he will. Which is speaking of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was made like a beast. His nails started growing over like talons, like eagle talons. His hair was growing all over like a beast of the field. And his understanding escaped him. Okay, like a beast without understanding. It says, and thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them. Thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the power in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mean, tekel, a parson. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mean, YAHAWASHI hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. Okay, so he basically put Daniel in his inner circle because of this message that was brought to him. Nevertheless, it goes on to say this. In that night, Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. All right, so he made him the third ruler of the kingdom. All right, basically, like the dream, he was in the inner circle. He was closer to the leader of that nation. And when he prophesied to him, and this is what the Lord sent his prophets. This is what the Lord has a few of his prophets do, is go prophesy to these kings and tell them their end. All right, and that's how the dream was going. Okay, but basically, this country is fallen, man. This country is done. America is done, and the Lord is I believe through the Spirit that these lessons we doing and these camps we've been doing, these videos and our posts, I believe these are all reaching these are all reaching head honcho of the country. Okay, he already knows about the prophets. They call us the perennial prophets of doom. Okay, which is forever reoccurring prophets, something that you can't get rid of. All right, we're prophesying the doom of this country. Okay, he said we have to stop the perennial prophets of doom. All right, so basically I was sent there to threaten Trump. You know, the Lord was threatening Trump. 2nd Ezra 16:11, the Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh. Okay, the Lord threatened you. The Lord was threatening him. Okay, and there's nothing he can really do about it. You can't gainsay or or resist the word of the Lord, Yahawashi. Once his word come out, his message comes out, it's not like you can argue with it. Okay? It's the Lord threatening you. Alright? The Lord telling you what he about to do to you. There's nothing you can really do about that, man. Okay? And though Moses was telling Pharaoh, you know, hey, the Lord finna do this to you if you don't let his people go, there's nothing he could do about it, because the Lord had everything in control. The Lord was hardening Pharaoh's heart. Maybe Pharaoh would have let the Lord's people go, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he can show his power in Pharaoh. Okay? So, Pharaoh continued to hold on to the Lord's people and oppress them. And the Lord did all that he said he was going to do to Pharaoh. It's the same thing with America. You know? Matter of fact, this scripture right here says, the scripture right here says in Exodus chapter 21 and verse 16, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So the Lord is about to arrive here on earth and find that his men, his children, okay, his inheritance is in the hand of these Edomites. So these Edomites gonna have to be put to death. Alright. But with that, I truly was just quit your lesson and testimony was edifying to you. I cannot watch for listening to true sincerity. So next time, I give all glory, honor, praises unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Shalom.